Hello, hello. Just waiting for people to come on. Just waiting for the minutes to tick, seconds to tick round to 17:30. Starting on the bot. Managed to get the camera to work straight away rather than having to turn it round today. As soon as you're there, if you want to put a message on saying you're there, if anybody's there, anybody at all in there, nobody turns up at all today. It'll be a short video then. We shall see. Oh, somebody's there. There we go. If you're in, you want to say hi. Just waiting a couple of minutes there to. Hi, Tim. Yeah, just waiting a couple of seconds to let a few more people come on. It's just turned past, so I'm expecting a few more people. I'm very good, mate. You? So we've been taking some pictures of you sleeping, by the way. Just plastering it all over Facebook, terrorising the cat. Yeah, do you like my lockdown hair? Yeah. Yeah, cool. All right, okay, so I'm going to start off and start day 2 of the 25-day challenge. So my 25 days is talking to you about mental health awareness, raising awareness of mental health issues. And like I said, started yesterday, it's day 2 today. And I set a challenge yesterday for some people. I sent a challenge to say something nice about yourself. Say something nice to yourself about yourself, or say something nice to somebody else about yourself. And those people that are coming on, welcome. If you've got a message, so basically say, hi, you're on, and if you want to share, if you managed to do something yesterday about whether you did a message to yourself, said something nice about yourself, said something nice to you, somebody else about yourself. Yeah, did you big up yourself? Did you manage to do that? And while we're talking about that, I just want you to think about, if you didn't manage to do that, what was it that stopped you from doing it? What was it that you didn't feel was comfortable enough to actually do that sort of stuff? What was it that you thought wouldn't be worth? So what was your feelings about why it wasn't necessary for you to say something nice about yourself? So while we're talking about, yesterday's stuff, I want to just sort of project forward over the next few weeks, the next 25 days. I'm going to be talking about some pretty gnarly subjects at some point. Mental health is quite a gnarly subject at times. So what I will do is, if I've got anything that is pretty gnarly coming up, I'm going to be talking about depression, I'm going to be talking about PTSD, we're going to be talking about suicide. When those things are coming up, I will publish it the day before the subject matter. Then if you don't want to be part of that, not a problem at all. Or you can prepare yourself, bring along whatever you want. But part of the whole issue with mental health, particularly around men's mental health, because obviously, being a bloke, I can talk about my personal experiences. Lots of that is about stereotypical not being able to talk about our feelings. Okay. So when we're talking about some of these things, yes, I have experience with families, etc., but I can't talk about my personal experience. Thanks, Paul. My personal experience about how female issues, for example. Okay, I've got some experience of issues through that from second hand, but not personally. Okay, so we can discuss that and you can bring to the table anything that you want to talk about as well. But just to warn you that some of the stuff that we will talk about in the future will be pretty gnarly. So again, I will publish it beforehand, well in front of that day. Okay, so yesterday was talking about, can we say anything nice to ourselves? Well, I reckon that probably quite a few of you struggled with that whole concept of talking about self in a nice way. We're quite easy to talk about ourselves in a negative way, what we can't do, what we're not good at. Maybe some of the things around it, knocking ourselves. We've never been good at this. We've never been good at that. Oh, what do I expect? Because, I've always been like that. So the challenge really was one to raise that awareness of how we speak to ourselves. So I'm gonna say something now. So we are who we say we are. We are who we say we are. So the self-talk, the inner voice, the idiot that runs around in our head slamming doors sometimes, or speaks to us, whispers in our ear. And there was a film many years ago, I think it was Animal House, where the frats were sort of fighting. Yeah, and then all of a sudden there was a little devil on one shoulder and there was a little angel on the other. Well, I guarantee that majority of the time for most of you, the little devil or the negative talk is the stuff there, because society pretty much is based around negativity, and it's really hard work. It takes a lot of effort to pick out the positive. I mean, just look at the news. Yeah, we're constantly bombarded with negative stuff from the news. Social media, pretty much, unless you go out looking for fluffy kittens and stuff like that, the whole society is focusing on the negative part of life. And unfortunately, the majority of the stuff that we learn when we grow up is around negative self-talk. So I'm going to quote a book here, Bug-Free Mind, from Randy Shaw. Now, quite a few years ago, I mentioned yesterday that I spent a lot of time doing personal development 7-8 years ago, involved in a network marketing business. Spent a lot of time doing lots of reading. I think at one point I was reading maybe 3 books a week, personal development based. And the Bug-Free Mind by Andy Shaw was one of those books that you pick up and it speaks to you personally. And what I'll do is, at some point this week, I will speak about my journey. I will speak about my story. But what I want to do is focus first on building up what we need to do for ourselves, the basics, so that when we talk about people's personal stories, we can then sort of speak with a bit of, should we say, bit of strength about what we're talking about. Okay, so Andy Shaw was a property developer. He's English, a property developer, or he was a property developer, and he was millionaire and had lots of money in property, stashed all over the place. But there was a recession, as we've been through a few recessions, and the recession hit. And basically all the people that were on owing him money, or he owed money to, all foreclosed at the same time. He tried to argue the fact that, he could do this and do that and juggle all the money, but everything fell apart. So he then spiraled into, obviously, quite negative thoughts about how he's going to get out of this situation. And long story short, he wrote this book about his story and his journey about trying to learn how to become more positive again. And he caught himself taking his son to school, and the negative talk just basically wore him down. And he basically pulled over his car and refused to go home until he could hold a positive thought in his mind for 20 seconds. Just holding that positive thought in his mind for 20 seconds. It took him 2 hours to actually achieve that positive effort to hold a positive thought in his mind for 20 seconds. And he's a guy that has come from being on top of the world. Being a property investor is no mean feat. It's all about juggling figures, creating money, making money happen, being a positive can-do person. So from where he was, being able to try and hold that conversation with himself for 20 seconds. So then he decided that he was going to go and try and sort this out once and for all, and try and get control of his thoughts. And this lasted days and weeks. And basically he based the bug-free mind on saying that your mind is very much like a computer. Once your computer is so full of viruses, so full of negative stuff, so full of junk, it just shuts down. And the brain works similarly. You know, it's more of a fluid thing, but the idea that you can reprogram your brain is actually correct. The brain is a plastic stuff. It's a plastic product. You know, you can actually bend it, shape it, you can reprogram it, you can rewire it. But you can only do that if you can take control of it. And to take control of it, you've got to be aware of what it's doing. So unless you are taking positive steps to actually listen to what is going on and the voices you've got going on in your head, it's just going to run its own thing. And normally what it is, it's the brain's gone into this very negative self-protection mode. And it's to stop you hurting yourself. It's the old base programming from when we were running around trying not to get beaten up and killed, etc., running away from stuff. We don't need that anymore, but the base program is still there. The base program in the brain tries to protect us from what might hurt us. And what we've created is this spiral of everything out there hurts us. So it tries to keep the negative spiral going so that we protect ourselves. So it's about us being aware of the voices, the program, the conversation that is going on in our head. And as I mentioned earlier, you know, we are who we say we are. Okay, if we say that we are too old to be doing certain stuff, or never been very good at that, not very clever, not very sporty, not very outgoing, that's exactly who we are. If we then decide that we're going to change who we are, we have to change that program. And lots of mental health issues are part of, and I'm not going into sort of personality disorders and, you know, that sort of stuff. I'm talking about the mental health issues where we have either suffered some sort of trauma, with some over long-term periods, some sort of incident that has happened, a lifestyle that has created a negative spiral, people around us, etc. What we've done is we've allowed that program to run, and that program runs itself. It takes control of itself. And then it takes control of our brain. And our brain is then in this spiral of keeping itself safe. So it will stop you doing things outside of that control. Okay, so we need to take control of our thoughts. And you'll say, oh, well, I've got control of those. Not a problem for me. I know exactly what's going on. I guarantee that some of you out there are already thinking, what's he on about? Oh, what would I have for tea? Oh, out there. Oh, I must do this, I must do that. Getting control of your brain so you can switch the other stuff off. Not necessarily drift in and out. Getting control so you can actually switch it on and switch it off. Now, there's loads of books out there to do this. There's loads of ways to do this. You can start meditating. You can start sitting and writing stuff. You can fill your mind with other positive stuff. All I'm saying is the challenge with mental health, with good mental health, with positive mental health, starts with awareness of what that conversation is. And if we aren't aware of that conversation, we're not listening to what's going on. It's running on its own. It's running its own program. And what is the program it's running? It's running a self-protection program. It's running that loop. Okay? So to add fresh information in, add a new program, learn new skills, be more positive, be more outgoing, not let the things that normally affect us. Okay, starting to change the way we think starts with us looking at the way that we speak to ourselves, the conversation that we're having. And we can only do that if we sit and actually listen to the conversation, listen to ourselves, the sitting there quiet, not filling our mind with TV and Facebook and things like that, but just sitting quietly and hearing what's going on when everything else goes quiet. Because if there's other stuff going on, your mind will be focused on that. Your mind can only do one of two things. Yeah, so it will look at whatever is on the TV, filling it full of junk, full of Facebook. It will follow that sort of stuff, or it will be having its own self-talk. So being aware of that self-talk. Yeah, so you've got to then think about, right, what do I want to be saying to myself? Do I want to be saying that I can't do this, I can't do that? Or do I want to be saying, I am a positive person, I am in control? Okay, so the challenge for today is to think about what that conversation is for ourselves. Okay, what are we talking about to ourselves? Okay, we've already tried to be positive, say something nice about ourselves. If you haven't done that, try again. Think about why you haven't said something nice about yourself. Think about why you can't tell other people good positive stuff about yourself. Does it feel weird? Does it feel negative? Does it feel a bit sort of self-effacing, a bit cocky? Okay, a bit arrogant maybe? No, you don't have to be arrogant or cocky, but we do have to, like I said yesterday, we do have to be our own cheerleader. We have to be singing our own praises. Why would other people sing our praises if we don't sing them first? So we've got to start with ourselves. But today, think about taking control of the thoughts, being aware of the thoughts that we think, being aware of the things that we think day in, day out about ourselves. And it might be quite scary to do this. You know, it may be a long time since you've actually sat and listened to yourself. And it can be sometimes a little bit emotional if some things come out there, if you're actually aware that you're not actually in charge. You're not actually, thinking you've got all of this stuff organised, you're in charge. Maybe not. Maybe there's somebody else running the program. Maybe somebody else is pulling the strings. Maybe somebody else inside is saying the things to you that's running the program. Okay? So, spend time with your thoughts. Yeah, I've just got my notes here. Little notes. Okay. Spend time with your thoughts. Do they serve you? Do they serve you? Do they give you the positive feelings that you want? Do they give you positivity? Do they make you feel good? Or do they make you feel, again, negative? Do they make you feel run down again? Do they make you feel that you've failed in some way? You've done something wrong? Do they run you down? Because that's your voice. That's your stuff. That's your way that you are speaking to yourself. Yeah, you are in charge of those thoughts. So gain control of those thoughts, gaining control of the things you say to yourself. You start to create a positive loop of stuff. Now, just before we close, tomorrow we're going to be talking more about our feelings, but also then we're going to start to talk about some perceptions and analogies of other people. And you may or may not have heard some of the stories that I'm going to tell tomorrow. But today, 24th of May, 1977. Some people will know that I'm a bit of a Star Wars freak. Today was the day that Star Wars A New Hope, Episode 4, the first Star Wars, was released in the UK. And also, for another few people that in my history, this was knee-deep in the Falklands War as well, 1982. So the few things going on this date, so contradictory stuff, so good stuff, positive outcome, but particularly with some of my ex-military guys, some of the stuff that goes in, we've got a lot of stuff there, people living sometimes on a daily basis, reliving some of those traumatic things that happened to them in their service careers. So what we'll do is, over the next couple of days, maybe on Tuesday, we'll be talking about PTSD and how it affects people. Still talking about ourselves, but not really talking about others yet. PTSD maybe. Tomorrow we'll be talking more about the analogy about how we are perceived, particularly if we're trying to help others. And then on Wednesday, we'll be probably talking about my story. I'll be talking about personal stuff. I won't be going into too much detail, but I'll be telling you my story, my journey so far, so that I can just explain particularly the stuff that I've learned, the stuff that I'm doing now. Hi Ian, how are you? The reason why I'm doing this 25-day challenge in a different way, and where the sort of the feelings about mental health awareness comes from, and then we'll go forward for that. So also I want to give people the opportunity over the next few days, before we sort of stray off into more the gnarly deep stuff. If you've got anything particularly around mental health that you'd like to be discussed, send me a message, post it on this if you want to, but send me a personal message if it's something else, and we can discuss how I can bring it up. I can do some research. Again, I'm not going to go into too much deep medical stuff, because I'm not a doctor. I teach mental health first aid, but I don't have all the clinical knowledge to go into mental health. There's a lot more people that have a lot more experience. But what I will do in speaking about the mental health angle from my perspective, and how we can help others in the future. So if you've got any points you want to raise now, any messages you want to post up now, a few people there that have tuned in for first time. Ian White, I haven't seen you for a while, mate. How's it going? Daryl over there. I saw Pete there, Andy there, Ashley. Hi there, buddy. Yeah, quite a few faces. Lindsay Colebrook, another blast from the past, down there in sunny Somerset, no doubt. Or is it Dorset? I'm not quite sure where you are now. Yeah, a few people. So say hi. Cool. So anybody got anything there? Steve Summers. Get climbing, buddy. Get climbing. Yeah. Again, particularly with the shutdown, the lockdown. We're still locked down in Wales. If you've got anything that, hi Andy, that looks nothing like you, mate. Sorry. Yeah. If there's anything you want to sort of raise because of the lockdown, is there anything there that's made you start to do things differently because of mental health? If it's brought anything to a head, if it's resolved anything. Hi Ashley. Let's discuss it. I can discuss it on your behalf. And again, if you want to send me a private message just to say, look, I don't want this my name discussed, but can we discuss this? And have some people's thoughts on it. Again, this is about you putting your thoughts into this as well. So if there's something that I say that makes you think, I don't quite agree with that, then say so. Okay, I don't have all the answers. I have some of the answers. I have some experiences, and again, I'll discuss my journey later on in the week. And we will talk about things that are pertinent and a bit gnarly at times. Homelessness. Okay, Ashley, yeah, get that, mate. So let me put that down on the list. There, things. Yeah, so homelessness. We can talk about that. Homelessness, how that leads to mental health issues. One of the things there, that makes people, and when you do a risk assessment on mental health, one of the things that you're looking at is, do they have a stable home environment? Yeah, so thank you for that, Ashley. We'll discuss that at some point. Okay. Anybody else got anything? I think that's pretty much what I've needed to talk about today. And yeah, if anybody's got anything they want to say just before I finish, but please do. Share this if you want to. Pass it around. Start getting people talking about mental health issues. Again, from a, and I'm just going to talk from a bloke's perspective. You know, I'm most blokes don't talk about stuff. They talk about football. They talk about other things. They talk about anything else in the pub. There's no pub at the moment, but you know, we'll banter. You know, we'll rip each other. But actually telling that another bloke that you're not feeling up for stuff, you're not actually feeling very good today. Your mental health is suffering. You're feeling under the weather. You don't really feel good to go out, etc. Is not something that blokes normally do. Okay, again, good or bad, that's the way it is. That's the reality. You know, I can only speak from my perspective and my experiences. The point is that if we can make a difference to just one other person's life by offering to be able to speak to somebody, by offering the chance for them to speak to you, by offering a way out other than them taking some drastic action, then we can just hopefully stop this mental health drama that's happening at the moment with blokes committing suicide. Okay, this just, you know, and again, committing suicide, my old language, you know, I'm from an age where suicide was illegal. Okay, so I still say commit suicide now and again rather than complete suicide or taking one's own life. But yeah, we've come a long way, but we're still, you know, still got a long way to go. But we will be talking about some of this stuff that's really gnarly. So just like I said, warn you off about doing that. Homeless is on the list there. So I'm going to end it there, and then we'll start again tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be talking about this perspective for other people looking at you, offering help maybe, and how that is perceived. Day 4 on Tuesday, I think we'll look at PTSD, okay, as a subject, and if anybody's got anything that they want to add to that, okay, and I can only speak from a perspective of the people that I've spoken to about it, or from a military perspective, which is only one way of getting trauma, then please send me a personal message and we'll bring that up. Okay, hope you're all well. Speak soon. Stay safe. See you tomorrow.